You know, it's crazy to take a look back when Marvel first started the MCU. This is the 14th film of the franchise and Marvel is still standing tall. Time flies. Anyways, if you haven't read from the title already, this is a spoiler review. So, yeah, there's the warning. Marvel's Doctor Strange is a film directed by Scott Derrickson about a famous yet conceited neurosurgeon man named Stephen Strange. Strange is pretty good with his steady hands until a catastrophic car crash damages his hand beyond repair. He travels from place to place to find a cure, and when he realizes that Western medicine cannot cure him, he travels east where he encounters the ancient mystic arts. Benedict Cumberbatch embodied the character of Stephen Strange really well, and his American accent sounded pretty genuine if you ask me. He definitely adds that Tony Stark-esque vibe, and it properly fits the type of character Marvel was going for. Carl Mordo was probably one of the more interesting characters that stood out for me though. I was expecting him to grow jealous of the Ancient One's favoring of Strange. I assumed that Marvel was going to go with the cliche former hero turns against good because Strange was quote-unquote the chosen one, but nah, they did nothing even close to that. He views the world strictly through laws and regulations as a result of being deceived by the Ancient One, which is a really compelling contrast from what we normally see, because usually it's the guy who breaks the rules that turns rotten, whereas the lawful goods prevail. But here, the stereotypical all-good Boy Scout who plays by the rules actually turns against the titular hero who does willingly defy the laws of nature. That was truly enthralling symbolism by Derrickson and the screenwriters. Props to you guys. Actor Chiwetel Ejiofor only boosts the performance with his poetic and philosophical tone of voice. Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McAdams, doesn't have that much screen time when compared to Mordo or Strange, but she does play a significant role. She connects Strange to that old life while still enabling him to continue his journey as the new Sorcerer Supreme. McAdams and Cumberbatch display really good chemistry as they bounced off each other really well in the comedic moments. And I'm really glad that Marvel isn't rushing this relationship like they did with Thor and Jane, because the build-up does make the thing feel more genuine. Speaking of comedic relief, by far one of the most memorable comedic relief characters here is Wong, portrayed by Benedict Wong. Same name. I get it. His serious nature contrasts nicely with Cumberbatch's snarky remarks. That whole bit with him listening to Beyonce while Strange was stealing books behind him was just overall humorous. The clever kind too. And now finally, the Ancient One. She is by far one of the most kick-ass characters of the MCU. Tilda Swinton did a phenomenal job as a didactic leader, and her opening sequence was the thing that got me hooked. The film opens up with this huge epic battle with the Ancient One against Caecilius and his followers, which by the way was incredible. Seriously, the amount of visual effects that went into this one opening battle was ridiculous, and all of it looked top-notch. The whole scene was fast-paced and action-packed without having to suffer from the overuse of shaky cam. And the other visuals in this movie were just as spectacular too. We get glimpses of different dimensions, different worlds, and different realities. Also, there was a cool little Ant-Man Easter egg in here. When the Ancient One takes Strange on his first acid trip, we get a view of this one environment with shards of glass folding in on each other that is very reminiscent of the quantum realm we saw back when Ant-Man went subatomic in his own film. That was a nice nod to the connected universe, but this begs the question, does going subatomic give Ant-Man the ability to travel to other realities like Doctor Strange can, but without magic? Probably another video idea for another time. Other Easter eggs involving the Avengers are here. Wong name drops them once or twice, and there is one post-credit scenes about one of the members, which I'll talk about later. Oh, and Stan Lee's cameo was great too. Towards the end of Doctor Strange, we also see the second main villain of the movie, Dormammu. Now going into this movie, I really wish I hadn't known that he would show up here, because I actually didn't know until fairly recently when someone uploaded pictures of him on Instagram with a caption written in bold, Dormammu in Doctor Strange. I'm not gonna lie, that was a dick move. My initial thoughts on his appearance were, I mean, he doesn't look bad, he just doesn't look too good either. That's not to say it was the visual effects that made it horrible. I thought the VFX was alright. It's just the way the character was designed. I mean, he just looked remarkably different from what I remember from other sources of media. I can see why they toned down that cartoonish flaming skull appearance, probably to also distinguish him from the current Ghost Rider of the MCU. But I think I need more time to look at him to fully formulate an opinion. One more thing to add though, Doctor Strange's whole encounter with him reminded me a lot of the Silver Surfer's encounter with Galactus back in 2007's Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I'm not saying that Dormammu was as bad as they did Galactus in that film, it's just that the occasions were very similar. Both were called Destroyers of Worlds and wanted to consume Earth, so maybe, since Fox still owns the rights to Galactus, maybe Dormammu is the Galactus of the MCU? It's a possibility. The two post-credit scenes are pretty cool, but I really like the first one the most. It showed Thor talking with Strange about his missing father and Loki while drinking a self-refilling cup of beer. So the two things that stood out to me. Number one, we actually see Thor drinking a ridiculous amount of beer for the first time in the MCU. I don't know if that's part of his character from the comics, but I know it runs parallel with one of the animated movies of the Ultimate Avengers. That was pretty nice to see. Number two, Doctor Strange will at least make an appearance in Thor Ragnarok. Whether it's big or small, I'm really excited to see what is to come. Now for the negatives. I've heard a lot of people say that the beginning was dragging a little, but I honestly thought that he got his hands broken pretty early on in the film. I mean, there were some parts where it did seem long, but that violent crash appeared much earlier from what I was expecting. The villain Caecilius isn't as bad as Malekith from Thor: The Dark World, but I still wanted to see him fleshed out more. His background, to me at least, was more telling rather than showing. And my last gripe with this film involves the newest Infinity Stone, the Time Stone. The final action piece with Doctor Strange using the Time Stone to reverse time while fighting against Caecilius was badass, but this renders the concept of death kinda useless. Wong died and came back alive, but why couldn't Strange revive the Ancient One? Oh yeah, by the way, the Ancient One dies. I guess it's all part of his journey to becoming the Sorcerer Supreme, but I have to admit, illustrating the manipulation of time and the manner they did it in this film was really complicated, and you gotta give the filmmakers props for being able to do it. Overall, yes, this film has its flaws, but it is one of the best standalone superhero origin stories I've seen in a while. While Doctor Strange does suffer from a not so memorable villain and a few pacing issues here and there, its stellar visual effects complement its already complex characters. It took something so absurd and abstract and made it enjoyable without making the storyline convoluted. The chemistry between the actors were fantastic, the comedic reliefs were amazing, and the action pieces were all phenomenal. I'd say this is a pretty great movie. I'm gonna give Doctor Strange a 93%. So hey, just a little quick message. This channel recently just hit 50,000 subscribers. I'd like to thank all of you for the constant support. Seriously, you guys help motivate me to keep making videos. So thank you all for liking my videos and watching my content. Cheers for 50,000 subscribers. And if you're new to this channel, you too could show your support by hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, consider following me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And for more of my videos, just click right here.